So today is going to be another one of my chatty videos, basically me rambling on and on about some topic that I've picked. Today it's going to be about the concept of being alternative. For a while this has kind of been a description that has bothered me because I don't feel like it's accurate, and I have some other issues with it. And I'm just going to delve into that, and it'd be really good if we could kind of start a conversation about it. And I don't know, I'd just love your input. That is the point of these videos, so it'd be good to have a discussion about it and see, you know, what's the best way to move forward with it. I guess because of the interviews I've been doing to do with tattooing and stuff, I've been thinking a lot about, you know, alternative culture, or what has long been described as alternative culture. And when I've been speaking to these tattoo artists, together we have kind of agreed that actually tattooing isn't really that alternative anymore. I was looking up stats today, and in the UK 1 in 5 people have ink. And obviously in my industry, the music industry, I'd say that's a lot higher. I'd say, I don't know, maybe 80% or more have tattoos. And actually when I go out with them, when I'm at a gig, when I'm working, as someone without any ink yet, I am actually in the minority. And therefore, if we're looking at the definition of alternative, I am actually more alternative in that sector because I don't have ink. So just that kind of realisation alone made me think that this alternative kind of title subsection of the society that we put ourselves in is probably out of date and needs to be looked at. I'll just read you what alternative means. I've just found a definition. So it's of or relating to activities that depart from or challenge traditional norms. So it's unconventional, non-standard, uncommon. So obviously we just stated that tattooing is common now. Radical, revolutionary. It's not really revolutionary anymore. Irregular, offbeat. And then available as another possibility. So different, other, a substitute, replacement. So there's some kind of words that are associated with being alternative. And when I was speaking to tattoo artists, these people generally were quite glad that it wasn't alternative, because they have a good perspective on things, and they think actually it's more about the art form and having a love of tattoo. So the more people that have it, then brilliant, because their art form is being seen and embraced by more people. Whereas the people that kind of embrace being alternative for perhaps not quite the right reasons seem to have a problem with it. I'll go into that a bit more later. A few things happened to me that made me want to do this video, and that is, I have blonde hair, I don't have any wacky piercings, I don't have tattoos. Sometimes I dress in what may be deemed a mainstream way, but I love rock music, I love metal, I love punk, I love all that sort of music. And yet some people, because of the way I look and on initial first impressions and appearances, wouldn't put me in that alternative category, and they wouldn't, I don't know, accept me in that world, and sometimes would say things like, I'm surprised you like that music, or even I don't believe that you like that music, which is very bizarre. Because I don't think there's anything written down anywhere that says you have to dress like the musicians that you like and admire, or that you have to dress like the scenes that you're into. For me, it's never been about, I don't know. All I'm saying is, for me, the focus is, if I like a song, I like it. If I like the lyrics, I like it. If I like the band, the performance, I like it. I'm not bothered about what's going on in their private lives. I'm not worried about, you know, I don't know, just to me what is irrelevant. I think everyone should dress how they want. Some of you might love how the band you love dresses and want to dress like that. Some of you might like to dress really what has become alternative looking, and that's cool. But I think the crux is that you should just dress how you want to dress, and some days I want to dress a bit rocky, a bit edgy. Other days I might want to be very feminine, very soft, and I don't want to feel like I have to dress a certain way to be embraced by the scene connected to the music I love. And the fact of the matter is, I love all sorts of music as well, and I don't like to be pigeonholed into one. So although I used to get annoyed that people wouldn't put me in that alternative bracket, despite the fact that most of my work falls into that, I talk about tattooing, rock music, you know, my YouTube channel is basically mainly alternative culture, yet because the way I look, people don't put me in that bracket. That used to bother me, but now I think, sod it, I don't want to be pigeonholed. I don't want to be called an alt YouTuber. What does that even mean in 2015? It doesn't mean anything. It should be about just being you, about being yourself. So tomorrow I might look more like what you've learned is a stereotypical alt person. The next day I might look like I used to be in Spice Girls. I understand categorization can be helpful. Say if you go to a record shop, it's easier to find records if they're put into subgroups and things like that. Film genres, you want to find it, but as humans, why are we putting ourselves into these tight categories? Because I'm sure they don't capture all of who you are. For example, I'd say 80% of the bands I've spoken to, on and off camera, they will admit to loving a lot of mainstream stuff, a lot of mainstream pop, mainstream artists, mainstream all sorts of things, yet fans would never say that they're not in the alternative category because of that. So why do we do it with other people? You know, some of the heaviest bands I've spoken to have told me that when they're driving their car, they love Taylor Swift, they love One Direction, they admire just good song structure, and they admire a well-constructed pop song. And that doesn't mean that suddenly their job being a famous metal musician isn't valid. They just recognise that, you know, they are accepting of all sorts of cultures, all sorts of influences, and that doesn't take away anything from who they are. Because I think if you ask yourself, you know, what are some of your favourite songs, perhaps some of your favourite things, they don't all fit neatly into one culture or one scene or one genre, and that's totally fine. You don't have to identify yourself as one category. When I've been at rock or metal gigs, I've seen people who would put themselves in the alternative category look down on people that perhaps don't have that style, perhaps look like look glamorous, or perhaps dress more trend-led or mainstream, and they say things like, bet they're band sluts, or bet they don't even like the music, bet they just fancy the singer, or what do they think they're doing here, that sort of thing. And isn't that bad? Because I know for a lot of us that kind of ended up being in what was called, say, the goths or the metalers or the skater crew at school. A lot of us were in there because we didn't feel that we fitted perhaps with some of the other groups at school. Perhaps we felt different, or perhaps we were just into different things. And sometimes people made us feel like inferior, or like outcasts, or like we didn't matter as much, or that we were ridiculous because perhaps of the way we dressed, or the music we listened to, or perhaps just our behaviour. And it makes me really sad that sometimes I see people that put themselves in an alternative category doing it to other people, because it's the same. If you're looking down on someone who's dressed in so-called mainstream clothes, or that doesn't look rock, you're doing exactly the same thing. We shouldn't be judging anyone unless we know them or know a bit more about them. We should not be judging people on the way they dress. I know it's a natural instinct, we do make judgments, but don't look at someone and instantly presume they don't like that music or they're not interested in that culture just because they're not embracing it in the way they choose to dress themselves. A few years ago, bright coloured hair would immediately mean that you are an alt girl or an alt guy or whatever. These days, you know, because of Bleach London, you know, we're seeing like Hollywood celebrities, we're seeing pop stars, we're seeing, you know, Helen Mirren, we're seeing the girl down the street at the post office. Everyone under the sun is trying coloured hair. So that no longer is a style note that makes you alternative. That's not alternative. That's, if anything, that's quite fashion led. So that's another reason why if you've got bright coloured hair and you've got tattoos, that doesn't immediately mean that you're alternative. You can buy septum rings and all sorts of fake nose rings and earrings on any high street shop, so many online stores, because it is now part of contemporary culture. It's just pop culture, it's not alternative. Some people get upset by this and people like adopting these originally alternative I don't know, styles or influences, but you've got to ask yourself, if you are getting annoyed by that, why? Because surely that's showing acceptance, surely that's showing that they enjoy that style, that they think it looks good. And I think if you are reacting negatively to that, maybe it's because you hold too much importance on, you know, the alternative label. I think we shouldn't kind of, you know, put so much onus on having a label. It shouldn't be about, I really want to be alternative so I fit in, I want to be alternative so people think I'm cool or whatever. It should be, I want to be who I'm meant to be. I want to be what's naturally who I want and should be, what I feel comfortable in, what I love. It shouldn't be a case of, I want to be thought of as this, so I'm accepted into this group. It's a very human thing. We want to belong. We want to, a lot of us want to feel like we fit in. And for some of us, we felt when we found fellow metlers or goths or whatever it's called, we felt that we finally fitted in somewhere. So we've really embraced that title and went with it and held on to it. But as soon as it starts becoming something that blocks other people out or puts other people down or, you know, limits us in any way, I think it's a negative thing. And rather than concentrate on maintaining appearances and stuff to fit in with something, we should just concentrate on doing all that we want to do and being all that we want to be. Obviously some people, the goal is to be different from the norm because they like standing out. Perhaps they like the attention or the conversation that comes because they look different from other people. So this kind of doesn't really focus on those people as much because that's what you want to do, so just go for it and carry on doing that. You know, with bands that used to be put, you know, on the alternative TV channels and stuff and they wouldn't ever consider charting, we've got, you know, Bring Me the Horizon charting really high these days. You've got Don Broco who got number 6, and all sorts of bands that you see at Warped and stuff appearing on shows like Sunday Brunch. You know, these lines are blurring all the time. So liking a band that's actually charting quite high, is that really alternative anymore? Because they're obviously selling enough records, which proves that there's enough of us in the world which would deem that the title alternative isn't really accurate. People like their bands getting successful, yes, but you do often see remarks from people actually upset when their band becomes more mainstream because they think it's selling out. But really, we should be embracing these bands that are kind of, you know, other people are realising how fantastic they are, and surely that's a great thing. But I guess people get comfortable and they like having these things that are kind of theirs, and it feels more intimate because you feel like it's a smaller population, a smaller group that kind of have ownership of this band. So when they go out into the mainstream a bit more, you feel you've lost some of that connection, that intimacy, that kind of ownership. And I think that's where some of the negative reaction comes. But instead, we should be saying rock music's getting heard by more people. More people are appreciating how good it is, and that is awesome. It's funny too, because a while ago I put out a request for YouTubers that I should follow, people that you thought that I would enjoy following, and all of them fell under the alternative bracket. They were YouTubers that kind of associate themselves with being called alt, and I thought, how strange to presume that I would only be interested in following those people, because when I look at my group of friends, we're all completely different. Like, some of them hate the music I listen to. We all dress completely different. We all have lots of different interests and tastes, yet we bond because perhaps we've got a similar sense of humour, we have the same moral compass, perhaps because they're just lovely people. And I checked out some of the recommendations. Yes, I liked some of them because obviously there were things that they were making videos about that were of interest to me, and of course I would find interest in perhaps some of their tastes in certain things, some of their fashion taste and perhaps musical taste. But for me, in terms of the YouTubers I relate to, it's much more about their personality and whether I warm to them, whether I find them engaging and pleasant and nice and someone that I genuinely want to hang around with. And not all of the ones I got sent that were alt, I didn't warm to all of them, yet I went on some other people's channels who were completely different style to me and had probably very different music tastes, but because they were warm and because they seemed lovely, I really enjoyed watching them. So I think it's strange that sometimes there's an assumption that we will only get on well with people who fit into the same bracket as us, because it's not the case. Yes, obviously you're likely to bond over perhaps the love of festivals or tattooing or a particular style, but they can have such different personalities still. We're not all the same. All the people lumped in this group aren't the same. We don't all think and feel the same. So don't kind of restrict yourself in terms of the people you're going to meet and people you're going to be friends with, because you might get on, well, brilliantly with a girl that you originally looked at and thought, oh, she's not my type at all. So just don't kind of put the blinkers on to other people. Be non-judgmental, be open, and you could get even more incredible friends because you're not putting those restrictions on it. You can see also how alternative culture has kind of crossed over to more mainstream in the fact that in terms of the models and page 3 models that are used now, some of them are tattoos. They used to be perhaps front girls or girls from Suicide Girls or something like that, and they're now appearing in Loaded and FHM and The Sun and stuff like that, proving that, you know, other people see beauty in that as well, and it's not just the people in the alternative bracket. Are you someone that kind of gives themselves the alt label? Has this changed how you feel about doing that? Do you now think that maybe that label isn't correct, and although you'd like to keep having a label, you'd like a new one, and any ideas what that should be? I don't know, I just want to know if this made you think, or what you think about any of these kind of topics. And all I want to say is, if you want to have pink hair tomorrow because you think it looks great, then do it. If you want to get a tattoo because you've got something you want to mark or remember, or you just like the artistry of it, go for it. If you want piercings, go for it. But if you want to go to Topshop and buy an outfit you see that you like there, go for it. Just, life is too short to be dictated by what we believe we should be and what we believe we should look like because of the rules of the, I don't know, the sections of society that we've been put in or that we've chosen to be in. Just do you. That's all you've got. You're unique. Just embrace that, and you know, allow your mood to dictate how you dress and how you feel, and don't be ashamed if one day you're liking a song by Jason Derulo and then the next day you like a Slipknot song. That is absolutely fine. Anyway, thanks for watching. God, I talk a lot, don't I? Sorry about that. Let me know of any topics you want me to ramble on about soon, and I'll do that. A little side note, there's a lot of pretty stuff going on with me at the moment, so I don't know how regularly I'm going to upload. I might talk about that stuff in the future too, but I don't know yet. But just be patient with me if I have to disappear for a bit. Okay, thanks, bye.